The Apocalypse of Abraham, Chapter 1. I was standing guard one day over the gods of my father Terah and my brother Nahor, while I was testing them to find out which god was really the strongest, and I was completing the services. I, Abraham, received my chance. My father Terah was sacrificing to his gods of wood, stone, gold, silver, copper, and of iron, and I entered their temple for the service, and found a god named Merimith, carved from stone, which had fallen at the feet of the iron god Nakin. At that point my heart was perplexed, troubled, and I thought that I could not put it back in its place by myself because of its weight, since it was made of large stones. So I went and told my father, and he came in with me. When we both lifted it to put it in its place, its head fell off while I was holding it by its head. Then when my father saw that the head of his god Merimith had fallen, he yelled at me, saying, "Abraham!" And I said, "Here I am." And he told me to bring the axes and chisels from the house. So I brought them to him from the house. Then he cut another Merimith without a head from another stone. He then smashed the head that had fallen off Merimith. He then crushed the rest of that broken Merimith. Chapter 2. He created 5 more gods and gave them to me. He ordered me to sell them outside on the road to town. I saddled my father's ass and loaded the gods on it, and went out on the highway to sell them. The merchants from Fandana of Syria were coming with their camels, on their way to Egypt to buy cochineal from the Nile. I questioned them, and they answered me. I walked along with them and talked with them. Then one of their camels screamed, and the ass was frightened and fled, throwing off the gods. 3 of them were broken and 2 remained intact. Then the Syrians saw that I had gods. They said to me, "Why did you not tell us that you had gods? We would have bought them before the ass heard the camels cry. You would have lost nothing." Then they said, "Give us the gods that remain, and we will give you a suitable price." I considered this and grieved, but they paid both for the smashed gods and the gods which remained. I had been worried how I would bring payment to my father. I threw the 3 broken gods into the water of the river Gur, which was in this place, and they sank deeply into the river Gur, and were not seen again. Chapter 3. As I was still walking on the road, my heart was disturbed and my mind was distracted. I thought, what is this deed of inequality my father is doing? Is it not he who is God because his gods come into being through his sculpting, planning, and his skill, workmanship? They ought to honor my father because the gods are his work. What reward does my father receive for his works? Merimith fell and could not stand up in his own sanctuary, and could not I lift him myself until my father came, and we stood him up together? Even then we were not able to do it, and his head fell off of him. Then he put another stone on it from another god, which he, my father, had made without a head. The other 5 gods which got smashed when they fell from the ass could not save themselves. They did not harm the ass to avenge themselves because it smashed them, nor did their broken pieces come up out of the river. And I thought to myself, if this is so, how can my father's god Merimith, which has the head of one stone and is made from another stone, save a man, or hear a man's prayer, or grant him any gift? Chapter 4. Thinking this way, I came to my father's house. I watered the ass and fed the ass with hay. I took out the silver and placed it in my father Terah's hand. And when he saw it, he was happy, and he said, "You are blessed, Abraham. by the God of my gods, since you have brought me the price for the gods, so that my labor was not empty, for nothing. I answered and said to him, Listen, Father Terah, in you is the blessing of your gods, because you are the God of them, since you created them, because their blessing is their hell, and their power is empty. They did not help themselves. How then can they help you, or bless me? I did well for you in this transaction, because through my good sense I brought you the silver for the broken gods. When he heard what I had to say, he became violently angry with me, since I had spoken words harshly contrary to his gods. Chapter 5. Having thought about my father's anger, I left, and afterward, when I had left, he called me, saying, Abraham. I answered, Here I am. He said, Gather these wood chips. I was making gods from fir before you came. I will use the chips to cook food when I prepared my midday meal. Then, when I was picking up the wood chips, I found a small god among them which would fit in my left hand. On its forehead was written, God Berisat. Then I put the chips on the fire to prepare food for my father, and went out to ask him about the food. I put Berisat near the kindling for the fire. I spoke to him as if to threaten him. I said, Berisat, watch that the fire does not go out before I come back. If the fire goes out, blow on it so it flares up. I went out and said nothing of this to anyone. When I returned, I found Berisat fallen on his back. His feet were enveloped by fire and burning fiercely. When I saw it, I laughed and I said to myself, Berisat, truly you know how to light a fire and cook food. Then, while saying this in my laughter, I saw that he had burned up slowly with fire and turned to ashes. I carried the food to my father to eat. I gave him wine and milk, and he drank and he enjoyed himself, and he thanked and spoke praise to Merimoth his god. Then I said to him, Father Terah, do not bless Merimoth your god. Do not praise him. Instead, praise your god Berisat, because he loved you enough that he threw himself into the fire in order to cook your food. Then my father said to me, Where is he now? And I said, He has burned in the flames of the fire and become dust. And he said, Great is the power of Berisat. I will make another today, and tomorrow he will prepare my food. Chapter 6. When I, Abraham, heard these words from my father, I laughed to myself, and I groaned from the disgust and anger in my heart. I said, How can a piece of a body made by Terah help my father Terah? How could he have enslaved his body to his soul, will, or desire, and allowed his soul, will, or desire to be enslaved by his spirit, not his spirit, but a spirit, when the spirit is stupid and ignorant? And I said, It is only proper to withstand this evil that I may compel my mind toward purity. I will lay my thoughts out before him clearly. I answered and said, Father Terah, no matter which of these gods you praise, your thoughts err. Don't you see that the gods of my brother Nahor, which stand in the holy sanctuary, are more worthy than yours? Look, Zacchaeus, my brother Nahor's god, is more worthy than your god Merimoth, because he is made of gold, and if Zacchaeus grows old with time, he will be remolded, whereas if Merimoth deteriorates or is broken, he will not be renewed, because he is made of stone. What about Oyev, the other god who stands with Zacchaeus? He is also more worthy than the god Berisat. He, Oyev, is carved from wood and then forged from silver, because he too is made of something that is given with love, comparison, and is valued by man according to their outward experience. But Berisat, your god, is rooted in the earth. When he was large, great, It is a wonder because he had branches and flowers and was worth praise when he was still not carved. But then you shaped him with an axe, and you created him as a god by your skill. Look, he has already dried up. His substance, fruit and fatness, has perished. From the height he has fallen to the earth. He descended from greatness to a lowly state, and his face and appearance is wasted, withered away. He was burned up by the fire, and he turned into ashes and disappeared. Then you say, "Let me make another, and tomorrow he will prepare my food for me." He was destroyed, and no power, strength, was left in him because of or to prevent his own destruction. Chapter 7. This I say, fire is more valuable in the formation of things, because even the untamable things are subdued by it, and it laughs at those things which are destroyed easily by its burning. But neither is it worthy, valuable, because it is subject to the water. But water is more worthy, venerable, powerful than fire, because water overcomes fire and sweetens the earth with fruit. But I would not call water a god either, because water is taken under the earth, and water is subject to the earth. I will not call earth a goddess either, because it is dried by the sun, and was made for man for his work. I think the sun is more worthy among the gods, because with its rays it illuminates the entire universe. But I would not place the sun among the gods, because there are those who obscure his course. They are the moon and the clouds. I will not call the moon or the stars gods, because at times during the night they also dim their light. Listen, Terra, my father, I will seek the God who created all the other gods we have thought exist. I seek who, or what is it that made the heavens red and the sun golden, and who has given light to the moon and the stars, and who has dried the earth in the midst of the many waters. I will seek who it is that has set you yourself among the things, and who has sought me out in my thoughts of questioning. God will reveal himself by himself to us. Chapter 8. Then I was thinking about my father Terah being in the court of my house, when the voice of the Mighty One came down from the heavens in a stream of fire, and it called to me, saying, "Abraham, Abraham." And I said, "Here I am." Then he said, "You are searching in the wisdom of your heart for the God of gods, the Creator? I am he. Get out from Terah, your father, and go away from the house, that you may not be killed because of the sins of your father's house." Then, as I went out, and I was not outside the entrance of the court yet, the sound of a tremendous thunder came and burned him and his house and everything in his house to the ground for a space of 40 cubits. Chapter 9. Then a voice spoke to me twice, "Abraham, Abraham." I said, "Here I am." And he said, "Look, it is I. Fear not, for I am with you, because I am before the ages. I am the mighty God, who created the first light of the world. I am your protection, shield, and your helper." He continued and said, "Behold, it is I. Fear not, because I am before the world was. I am mighty, the God who has created all. I am the light of the age. I am your protector and your helper. Go, get me a 3-year-old heifer, a 3-year-old female goat, a 3-year-old ram, a turtle dove, and a pigeon. Go, take me a young heifer of 3 years, and a female goat of 3 years, and a ram of 3 years, a turtle dove and a pigeon, and bring me a pure sacrifice. And this sacrifice I will lay before you, make known to you, the ages to come, and tell you what is in store, and you will see great things which you have not seen before. I will tell you things kept guarded, and you will see great things which you have not seen, because you desired me and searched for me, and so I called you my beloved. But for 40 days abstain from every kind of food cooked by fire, and from drinking, because you have loved to search me out, and I have named you my friend. And also abstain from anointing yourself with oil for 40 days, and then give me the sacrifice which I have commanded you, in a place which I will show you high on a mountain, and there I will reveal to you the ages which have been created and established by my word. And there I will show you the things which were made in the ages, and by my word that affirmed and created and renewed. I will make known to you what will come to pass for them who have done evil, and for those who have done righteousness, just deeds, and the generations of men. Chapter 10. Then I heard the voice telling me such things, and I heard the voice of him who spoke these words to me, and I looked around for him. I found I could not breathe, and fear seized my spirit. My soul seemed to leave me, and I fell down like a stone, like a dead man falls to the earth, and I had no strength to stand. I was laying with my face down to the earth when I heard the voice of the Holy One speaking. Go, Jael, and by the power of my ineffable name raise up man, that man over there, and strengthen him, so that he recovers from his trembling. Consecrate this man for me, and strengthen him against his trembling. The angel he sent to me in the likeness of a man came, and he took me by my right hand, and set me up upon my feet, and said to me, Stand up, Abraham, friend of God who loves you. Do not let your trembling seize you, for look, I have been sent to you to strengthen you and bless you in the name of God, who loves you. He is the creator of the heaven and the earth. Do not fear, but run to him. I am called Jael by him, who gives life to those who exist with me on the 7th level of heaven. It is done by the power of the goodness of the ineffable name that is dwelling in me. I am the one who has been given the authority to restrain the threats and attacks of the living ones cherubim against one another, and to teach those who have him within them the song of the 7th hour of the night of man, according to his commandment. I teach those who carry the song through man's night of the 7th hour. I am the one who ordered your father's house to be burned with him, because he honored the dead gods. I am given authority to restrain the Leviathan, serpent, reptiles, because every attack and menace of every Leviathan, serpent, reptile, are subject to me. I am he who has been given power to loosen Hades, and destroy him who watches over the dead. I have been sent to bless you and your land now, for the Eternal One whom you have invoked has prepared for you. For your sake I have ventured my way upon earth. Stand up, Abraham, go boldly, be very joyful and rejoice. And I also rejoice with you, because you are venerable, and I am with you. For everlasting honor has been prepared for you by the Eternal One. Go and do the sacrifices commanded, for I, and with me Michael, blesses you forever. I have been commanded to be with you, and with the generations that will spring from you. Be of good cheer, and go. Chapter 11. And I stood up and saw him who had grasped me by the right hand and set me on my feet. The appearance of his body was like sapphire, and the look of his appearance was like peridot, and the hair of his head was like snow. A cadaris, a Scythian hat with long flaps usually worn by kings, was on his head, and its look was like that of a rainbow. His garments were purple, and a golden staff was in his right hand. And he said to me, Abraham. And I said, Here is your servant. He said, Do not let my appearance frighten you, nor should you let my speech trouble your soul. Come with me, and I will be with you visibly until the sacrifice. But after the sacrifice, I will be invisible forevermore. Be of good cheer, and come. Chapter 12. The two of us went together for 40 days and nights, and I ate no bread and drank no water, because my food and my drink was to see the angel who was with me, and to hear his voice. We came to the mount of God, Mount Horeb, and I said to the angel, Singer to the Eternal One, I have no sacrifice, and I do not know of a place with an altar on the mountain. How can I bring a sacrifice? And he said to me, Look around you. And when I looked around, there following us were all the required animals, the young heifer, the female goat, the ram, the turtle dove, and the pigeon. And the angel said to me, Abraham. And I said, Here am I. And he said, Slaughter all these animals and divide them into halves. Place the one half against, across from, facing the other, but do not divide, sever the birds. Give these to the men whom I will show you, that are standing by you, because these are the altar upon the mountain, to offer a sacrifice to the Eternal One. But the turtle dove and the pigeon you will give to me, because I will ascend on the wings of the birds to show you what is in the heavens, on the earth, in the sea, in the abyss, in the lower depths, in the Garden of Eden, in its rivers, and in the fullness of the universe, and you will see its circles and all. Chapter 13. I did everything commanded me by the angel, and I gave the angels who had come to us the divided animals. But the angel Jael took the birds. Then I waited until the evening sacrifice. Then and there an unclean bird flew down upon the carcasses, and I drove it away. The unclean bird spoke to me and said, Abraham, what are you doing upon these holy heights where no man eats or drinks, and there is no food for man here? But these heavenly beings consume everything with fire, and will burn you up. Forsake the man who is with you, and run away, because if you ascend into the heights, they will destroy, kill, make an end of you. Then, when I saw the bird speaking, I said to the angel, What is this, my lord? And he said, This is ungodliness. This is Azazel. And he said to it, Disgrace upon you, Azazel, for Abraham's portion is in heaven, but yours is upon the earth, because you have chosen this for the dwelling place of your uncleanness, and you have loved it. Therefore the eternal mighty Lord forced you to dwell upon the earth, and through you every evil spirit of lies, rage, and trials came forth for the generations of ungodly men. God, the eternal and mighty one, has not permitted the bodies of the righteous to end up in your hands, so that the life of the righteous and the destruction of the unclean may be assured. Listen, you have no permission to tempt the righteous at all. Leave this man. You cannot deceive him, because he is the enemy of you and of those who follow you and those who love what you want. Behold, the garment which is heaven that was formerly yours has been set aside for him, and the mortality which was his has been given over to you. Chapter 14. And the angel said to me, Abraham. And I said, Here I am. And the angel said to me, Know that from now on and forever, the Eternal One has chosen you. Be bold. I command you to use this authority against him who reviles the truth. Will I not be able to revile him who is scattered about the earth, the secrets of heaven, and who has taken counsel against the Mighty One? Say to him, May you stoke, be kindling in, the fires of the earth's furnace. Go, Azazel, into the deserted parts of the earth. Your inheritance is over those who are with you, with the stars and with the men born by the clouds, whose reward you are. They exist because of you, through your being. Hate is your pious act. Therefore, you will destroy yourself and be gone from me. And I spoke the words that the angel taught me, but the angel said to me, Do not answer him, for God has given him power over those who answer him. And the angel spoke to me again, saying, However much he speaks to you, do not answer him, so that he may not get to you easily, freely. The Eternal One gave him the gravity and the will. Do not answer him. I did what the angel commanded me, and whatever he said to me about the fall, descent, I did not answer him. Chapter 15. As the sun was setting, I beheld smoke like that of a furnace, and the angels who had the divided portions of the sacrifice came down from the top of the smoking furnace. And the angels lifted me with his right hand, and set me upon the right wing of the pigeon, and he sat on the left wing of the turtle dove. Neither birds had been slaughtered. He flew me to the borders of the flaming fire, and we rose on many winds to the heavens which were above the firmament, sky, theater of stars, the sphere where the stars are stationed. In the air, we ascended to a height that I could see a strong, bright light, impossible to describe, in the light of a fiercely burning fire, Gehenna. I saw many people, male in appearance. All of them were constantly changing their appearance and form. They were running as they were being changed, and they were worshiping and crying out with a sound of words that I could not recognize. Chapter 16. And I said to the angel, Why have you now brought me here? I can no longer see clearly, and I am growing weak. My spirit is leaving me. And he said, Remain close to me, and do not fear. He, the one you cannot see, is coming toward us now with a tremendous voice of holiness. He is the Eternal One who loves you, but you yourself cannot see. Look at him. But you may find your spirit growing faint on account of the choirs of those who cry out, because I am with you to strengthen you. Fight against the weakness, for I am here to strengthen you. Chapter 17. While he was still speaking, fire coming toward us surrounded us, and there was a voice amidst the fire like a voice of many waters, like the sound of a violent sea. And I wanted to fall down and worship, and the angel knelt down with me and worshipped. However, the surface of the high place where we were standing changed constantly, inclining, rolling high and low. And the angel said, Worship Abraham, and sing the song which I now will teach you. Never stop singing it. Sing it continuously from beginning to end. And the song which he taught me to sing had words that were appropriate to the area of heaven, sphere, we were standing in. Each area, sphere, in heaven has its own song of praise, and only those who live there know how to sing it, and those on earth cannot know it or sing it. They could know it only if they were taught by the messengers of heaven, and the words of that song were of a type and meaning. So I bowed down, since there was no solid ground on which to prostrate myself, and I recited the song which he had taught me. And he said, Recite it without ceasing. And I recited, and he himself recited the song along with me. Eternal, mighty, holy God, El, God of unlimited power, self-originated, incorruptible, immaculate, without beginning, having no mother or father, spotless, immortal, self-created, illuminated with your own light, without mother or father, self-begotten, high, radiant, wise, lover of men, favorable, generous, bountiful, jealous over me, patient, compassionate, most merciful, Eli, my God, eternal, mighty, holy Sabbath, most glorious El, God, Jael, Yahoel, Joel, Jael, Lord God, you are he whom my soul is loved, the guardian, eternal, radiant, shining, made of light, voice of thunder. You appear as lightning, all-seeing. You receive the prayers of those who honor you, and turn away from the prayers of those who besiege you with their provoking ways. You redeem, free, those who are in the midst of the unrighteous, and those who are confused among the wicked one, who inhabited world and the corruptible life. You renew the life of the righteous before the morning light shines. You make the light shine upon your creation from the light of your face in order to bring the day on the earth. And in your heavenly dwellings there is an inexhaustible light of another kind. It is the inexpressible splendor from the lights of your face. Accept my prayer, and let it be sweet to you, and also the sacrifice which you yourself made to yourself through me, who searched for you. Receive me favorably, and show to me, and teach me, and make known to your servant what you have promised me. Chapter 18. While I was still reciting the song, the mouth of the fire on the surface rose high in the air, and I heard a voice like a roaring sea. It was not stopped by even the plethora of fire, and as the fire rose up very high, I saw under the fire a throne of fire, and around it were many eyes watching. They were the all-seeing ones, and they were singing their song. Under the throne were 4 radiant, on fire, living ones singing, but they looked as if they were one creature, but each one had 4 faces. This is how they appeared, and how they looked to me. Each one had the face of a lion, a man, an ox, and an eagle, and because of their 4 heads upon their bodies, they had 16 faces. Each one had 3 pairs of wings coming out of their shoulders, their sides, and their hips. With the wings from the shoulders they covered their faces. With the wings from their hips they covered their feet. The 2 middle wings were spread out, and they flew erect as if standing up, straight forward. Then, when they had ended their singing, they looked at one another and threatened one another. Then, when the angel who was with me saw that they were threatening each other, he left me and went running to them. He turned the face of each living creature from the face which was opposite it, so that they could not see each other's faces. And he taught them the song of peace, which the Eternal One has in himself. And while I stood alone and watched, I saw a chariot with wheels of fire behind the living ones. Each wheel had eyes around it, and it was full of eyes. Above the wheels was the throne which I had seen before. It was covered with fire, and the fire encircled it. An indescribable fire contained a mighty fiery host, and I heard its holy voice like the voice of a man. Chapter 19. And a voice came to me out of the middle of the fire, saying, Abraham. And I answered, saying, Here am I. And he said, Look at the wide places, areas, expanses, which are under the firmament, sky, theater of stars, on which you now stand. Notice that no other place, area, expanse has yielded the one for whom you have searched, or who has loved you. While he was still talking, the areas opened up. Below me were the heavens, and I saw a fire which was widespread. There was a light, which is the storehouse, vault, of life. There was the dew that God will use to awaken the dead, the spirits of the righteous, those that had gone on before, and the spirits of those souls who were yet to be born. Judgment and righteousness, peace and blessing, and an innumerable host of angels, and the living ones, and the power of the invisible glory sat above the living ones. All of these were in the seventh firmament, on which I stood. And I looked down from the high mountain on which I stood, on to the sixth firmament. And there I saw a host of angels of pure spirit, incorporeal, without bodies, whose duty was to carry out the commands of the fiery angels who were upon the seventh firmament. Some translations have the eighth firmament. As I was standing suspended over them, and I looked down on the sixth firmament, and there were no other powers of any form, only the angels of pure spirit. I was standing on its elevation, and on this firmament there was nothing in any form, and no other host, but only the spiritual angels. I saw a host on the seventh firmament, and he commanded that the sixth firmament should be removed from my sight. And I saw there on the fifth firmament the powers of the stars which carry out the commands laid upon them, and the elements of the earth obeyed them. Chapter 20. And the Eternal, Mighty One, said to me, Abraham, Abraham. And I said, Here I am. And he said to me, Look at the stars which are beneath you, and number them for me, and then tell me their number. And I said, How can I? I am just a man made of the dust of the earth. And he said to me, I will make your progeny a nation as large as the number of the stars, and as powerful the power of the stars. And I will set these people a section, peace, for me is my own inheritance. They will be distinct from those of Azazel, and yet I include Azazel in my house. And I said, Eternal and Mighty One, let your servant speak before you, and do not let your fury ignite, burn, rage, against your chosen, selected, elect one. Look, before you led me up, Azazel insulted, railed against, reproached me. Since he is now not before you, how can you establish, constitute, count yourself with them? Chapter 21. Then he said to me, Look beneath your feet at the firmament, and understand the creation represented and foretold in this expanse, the creatures who exist in it, and the ages prepared after it. And I looked beneath my feet and beneath the sixth heaven, and saw the earth and its fruits, and what moved upon it, and its beings that moved, and the hosts of its men, and the ungodliness of some of their souls, and the righteous deeds of other souls. I saw the lower regions, and the torment, perdition, in the abyss. And I saw the sea and its islands, its monsters, Leviathan and its fishes, and Leviathan and his lair, his realm, caves, and the world which lay above him, and his movements and the destructions he caused the world. I saw there the streams and the rivers with their waters rising, and their winding courses, and I saw there the Garden of Eden and its fruits, the source of the river that issues from it, the trees and their blossoms, and the men, ones who did good deeds, behaved righteously, justly. And I saw in it the garden, their foods and their restfulness, blessedness, and I saw there a tremendous multitude of men and women and children, half of them on the right side of the door, vision, and half of them on the left side of the door, Vision. Chapter 22. And I said, Eternal, Mighty One, what is this vision of creation? And he said to me, This is my will for what is in the light, and it was good before my face. After this I gave them a command, and by my word, and they came into existence. Whatever I had decreed was to exist had already been decided, outlined in this, and all things created, which you see, had stood in front of me, in my sight, before it was created. And I said, Lord, mighty and eternal, who are the people in this vision on this side and on that side? And he said to me, Those who are on the left side are all those who existed, were born, before and after your day, some destined for judgment and restoration, and others for vengeance and estrangement at the end of the age. Those on the right side of the vision are the people set a section, peace, for me. These are the ones I have prepared to be born of your lineage, and to be called my people. Some of these even come from Azazel. Chapter 23. Now look again in the vision, and see who it is that seduced Eve, and what the fruit of the tree was, and you will know what is to be, and how it will be for your progeny among the people at the end of the days of the age. And all that you cannot understand, I will make known to you, for you are well-pleasing in my sight, and I will tell you of those things which are kept in my heart. Then I looked into the vision, and my eyes looked at the side of the Garden of Eden, and I saw there a man of imposing height, and he was great, powerful in stature, incomparable in appearance. He was embracing, entwined with, a woman who looked like his size and stature. They were standing under a tree of the Garden of Eden, and the fruit of this tree was like a bunch of grapes on a vine. Standing behind the tree was one who had the appearance of a serpent, dragon, but it had the hands and feet of a man, and it had wings on its shoulders. There were 6 pairs of wings, so that there were 6 wings on the right shoulder, and 6 on the left shoulder. As I continued looking, I saw the man and the woman eating the fruit from the tree, and the serpent, dragon, was holding the grapes of the tree and feeding them to the 2 I saw embracing each other. And I said, Who are these 2 that embrace, and who is this between them, and what is the fruit which they are eating, O mighty, eternal one? And he said, This is the world of men, this is humanity. This one is Adam, man, and that one, who is their desire upon the earth, is Eve. But he who is between them is the ungodliness of their behavior, that is sending them on the way to perdition. It is Azazel. And I said, Eternal Mighty One, why have you given the likes of him, Azazel, the power to destroy mankind, children or generations of men, and their works upon the earth? And he said to me, I gave him power over them who want to do evil, and those whom I have already hated, and they will even come to love him. And I said, Eternal, Mighty One, why did you want to bring into existence an evil that men would desire in their heart, since you are angered at what was chosen by those who do useless, vain, unprofitable things in your light, counsel, presence? Chapter 24. He said to me, I am angered by mankind on your account, and on account of those who will be of your family to come, because as you can see in the vision, The burden of destiny is placed upon them, and I will tell you what will be, and how much will take place in the last days. Now, look at everything in the vision. I looked, and saw the created beings that had come into existence before me. And I saw Adam and Eve and the cunning adversary who was with them, the crafty Cain, who had been influenced, led by the adversary to break the law. And I saw the murdered, slaughtered Abel, and the destruction, lawlessness, perdition, brought on him that was caused through the lawless one. And I saw there fornication, and those who desired it, and its defilement, and their jealousness, and the fire of the corruption in the lower depths of the earth. And I saw theft, and those who run after it, and the means and ways of their punishment, retribution, at the judgment of the great court. Assize. And I saw naked men with their foreheads against each other, and their disgrace, and the passions which they had for each other, and their retribution, and the shame and harm they worked against one another. And I saw Desire, and in her hand was the head of every kind of lawlessness, and her scorn and contempt, and waste was assigned to destruction, perdition. Chapter 25. Then I saw something that looked like an idol. It was the idol of jealousy. It was carved in wood like Father used to make. Its body was made of glittering bronze that covered the wood. And in front of it, I saw a man who was worshiping the idol. And in front of him, there was an altar. And upon the altar, a boy was killed as a sacrifice in the presence of the idol. And I said to him, "What is this idol? And what is the altar? And who are those being sacrificed? And who is the one who performs the sacrifice? And what is the beautiful temple which I see? The air and beauty of your glory like that which lies beneath your throne." And he said, "Hear, Abraham, this temple which you have seen, the altar and the works are my idea of the priesthood, performing in the name of my glory, where every prayer, request, petition of man will enter and live. They include the praise of kings and prophets, and whatever sacrifice I decree to be made for me." And he said, "Abraham, listen. What you see is the temple. It is a copy of that which is in the heavens. It is glorious in its appearance and beauty. I will give it to the sons of men to ordain a priesthood for my glorious name. In it, the prayers of man will be spoken, and sacrifices offered. I have ordained this for your people, especially those who will arise out of your lineage. But the idol which you saw is the image of jealousy that will be set up by some of those who will come out of your own loins in later days. And the man who sacrifices in murder is he who pollutes my temple. These are witnesses to the final judgment, and their appointment, reward, has been set from the beginning of creation." Chapter 26. And I said, "Eternal Mighty One, why did you establish it like this, and then proclaim the knowledge, testify of it?" And he said to me, "Listen, Abraham, and understand what I am about to say to you, and answer my question. Why did your father Terah not listen to you? And why did he not cease his idolatrous, demonic worship, practices, together with his entire house?" And I said, "Eternal Mighty One, certainly because he did not want to obey me, because I did not follow his ways, deeds, works." And he said to me, "The will of your father is in him, up to him, and your will is in you, up to you, and likewise the counsel of my own will is within me, up to me, in my control, and it is has prepared the coming days before you have any knowledge of them or can see the future with your own eyes. Now look again into the vision and see how it will be with your children, progeny, generations. Chapter 27. And I looked, and I saw the vision sway. From its left side a crowd of unbelievers, ungodly people, ran out, and they captured the men, women, and children, and they murdered, slaughtered like animals, most of them, and others they kept as slaves. And I saw them, the killers, run towards them, the slaves, through 4 doors which were high with stairs, and they burned the temple with fire, and they took and broke the holy things that were in the temple. And I said, Eternal One, behold, my progeny, whom you have accepted, are robbed by these ungodly men. Some are killed, and others they enslave. The temple they have burned with fire, and the beautiful things in it they have robbed and destroyed. If this is to be, why have you ripped my heart like this? And he said to me, Listen, Abraham, all that you have seen will happen because of your progeny, who will continually provoke me because of the idols that you saw, and because of the human sacrifice in the vision, through their drive and desire to do evil and their schemes in the temple. You saw it, and that is how it will be. And I said, Eternal, Mighty One, allow these works of evil brought about by ungodliness pass by, and instead show me those who fulfill the commandments. Show me the works of righteousness. I know in truth you can do this. And he said to me, The days of the righteous will arrive, are seen symbolized by the lives of righteous rulers who will arise, and whom I have created to rule at the appointed times. But you must know that out of them will arise others who care only for their own interests. These are symbolized by those killers I have already shown you. Chapter 28. And I answered and said, Mighty, Eternal One, you who are holy by your power, show mercy, I pray, since you have brought me up here to your high place, and you have showed your beloved the things about which I asked. Please tell me now, will what I saw be their lot for long? And he showed me a multitude of his people and said to me, Because of them I will be provoked by them through the 4 high doorways you saw, and my retribution for their deeds will be accomplished. But in the 4th descent of 100 years, which is the same as 1 hour of the age, the same as 100 years, there will be evil, misfortune, among the heathen nations. But also for 1 hour there will be mercy and honor among those nations. Chapter 29. And I said, Eternal One, how long are the hours of the age? And he said, 12 hours have I ordained this present ungodly age to rule among the heathen nations and within your progeny, and until the end of the times it will be even as you saw. And now reckon, calculate, and understand, and look again into the vision. And he said, I decree to keep 12 periods of the impious age among the heathens and among your progeny, and what you have seen will be until the end of time. And I looked and saw a man going out from the left side of the heathen nations, and there went men and women and children out from the side of heathen nations, like many multitudes, and they worshipped him. And while I still looked, there came many from the right side, and some of these insulted him, and some of them even struck him, but others worshipped him. As I watched, I saw Azazel come up to him, and he kissed him on the face, and then turned and stood behind him. Then I said, Eternal Mighty One, who is this man who is insulted and beaten, who is worshipped by the nations, and kissed by Azazel? And he answered and said, Hear me, Abraham. The man you saw insulted and beaten and yet worshipped by many, he is the relief, liberty, freedom granted by the nations of people who will be born out of you in the last days, in the 12th hour of the age of ungodliness. But in the 12th hour of my last, final age of my fulfillment, will I set up this man from your tribe, generation, whom you saw issue from among my people, and all who follow will become imitate this man, and they will be called by me, and they will consider him to be called by me, and they will join the others, even those who desire to change within themselves. Regarding those who emerge from the left side of the vision, the meaning is this: there will be many from the heathen nations who will set their hopes on, trust in him. But those whom you saw from your progeny on the right of the vision, who insulted him and struck him, many will be offended because of him, but some will worship him. And he will test those of your progeny who have worshipped him in the 12th hour at the end, in order to shorten the age of ungodliness. Before the age of the righteous begins to grow, my judgment will come upon the nations, heathen, lawless, wicked peoples, through the people of your progeny, who have been separated to me. And in those days I will bring upon all creatures of the earth 10 plagues, through misfortune and disease, and the groans of their bitter grief. And this will be brought upon the generations of men, because of the provocation and the corruption of mankind, because they provoke me. And when the righteous men of your progeny will survive in the number, count, which is kept secret by me, and will hasten the coming of the glory of my name, to that place prepared before those you saw destroyed in the vision. And they will live and be established by the sacrifices of righteousness in the age of the godly. And they will rejoice in me continually, and receive those who return to me in repentance, because their inner torment will be great for those who have wrongfully misused, mocked them in this world. And they will see the honor bestowed on those who are mine in the day of glory. Abraham, see what you have seen, and hear what you have heard, and take knowledge of all that you have come to know. Go to your inheritance, for behold, I am with you to the age. Chapter 30. While he was still speaking to me, I found myself on the earth again, and I said, Eternal One, I am no longer in the glory on high. Still there is one matter which my soul longs to know and understand that was not revealed to me. And he said to me, I will explain to you the things you desired in your heart to know, which are the 10 plagues that I prepared against the heathen nations, and which have been designed to begin at the passing of the 12th hour of the age of the earth. Hear, therefore, what I tell you, because it will come to pass. The first is the sorrow and pain of need, sickness. The second, the massive burning and destruction of many cities. The third, the destruction and pestilence, sickness of animals, cattle. The fourth, hunger of the whole world and its people. The fifth, among the rulers, destruction by means of earthquake and the sword. The sixth, the increase of hail and snow. The seventh, wild beasts will be their grave. Animals will kill them. The 8th, hunger and pestilence will change their course of destruction, alternate with destruction. The 9th, punishment, execution, by the sword, and flight and distress. The 10th, thunder and voices, and destructive earthquake. Chapter 31. And then I will sound the trumpet in the air, and I will send my elect one, chosen one, and he will have all measure of my power. He will have one measure of all my power. He will summon my people, who were despised, from all nations, and I will send fire upon those who have insulted them, and who have ruled over them in this age. And those who have chosen my desire, and kept my commandments will rejoice with celebrations, parties over the downfall of the men who continue to follow after the idols. And I will take those who have covered me with mockery, and give them over to the scorn of the coming age. I have prepared them to be food for the fires of Hades, and be in perpetual flight through the air of the depths of Hades, the underworld, and they will be the contents of a worm's belly, Azazel, for they joined a marital or sexual term, one to whom they had not been given to, and they abandoned the Lord who gave them strength. Chapter 32. Hear me, Abraham, because you will see that in the 7th generation from you will go out into a strange land, and the heathen will enslave and oppress them, and they leave the land of their slavery, after they have been mistreated for an hour of the age of ungodliness. And the heathen nation whom they will serve, I will judge. And the Lord said this too. Have you heard, Abraham, what I told you, what your tribe will encounter in the last days? Abraham heard and accepted the words of God in his heart.